you for details.
It's 11:44. I got Cassie on the line from Kuranda. Good morning, Cassie. How are you?
Oh, good morning, Steve. It's very hot up here today.
I bet it is. I bet it is.
Maybe not as hot as Cairns.
Oh, it's pretty it's pretty warm down here, but we're in the aircon, so not feeling too much at the moment. It's only when we go outside. We're very lucky these days. Imagine the heat waves that would have come through 40 years ago, when not every house had an aircon. I don't even know if they had aircons back then, but yeah, they would have done. But there would have been only a very select few that had an aircon available.
Yes, and that brings up a point that I've got about these changing weather conditions that we're seeing.
Yep.
I'm really concerned about the water situation with the proposed KUR World development.
Oh yeah.
I had a read of the executive summary, and it seemed like they were going to need to get water licences from the Baron.
Mm-hmm.
But in looking a bit more closely at what they're stating they think they can get from the ground, I'd be very worried if I was a resident in the local area there, because they're very patchy, the bores, and they look like they are really overstating what they think they can get from the ground. Given that the tests have only been done over a short period of time, and you know how variable it is here in terms of rainfall.
Yes.
These bores are just directly charged from the amount of rain that we get, no other way.
Yeah.
And they're sort of understating, it looks like, what they think they can, get people to save in terms of water through a resort, which usually uses about 5 times what we do as residences are. So I'm very concerned, and I'd like to hear from people in the know about the water licences in the Baron. I mean, it's clear they've stated they're going to have to buy some, but where's it going to come from? Is it going to come from the farmers, or who's got water licences available that they would be able to pick up?
Well, so if it's a massive resort, or when I say massive, if it's a resort, you're right, there's a lot of water going to be needed. I mean, to have that water, to rely on it to come out of the bores, as you say, that's going to be difficult. Well, where would they get it? They'll have to buy it.
They'll have to buy it from the Baron, and they're saying that they'll have to do that. So I guess it's got to come through the Baron water scheme, the Tinaroo scheme. And my understanding is that basically all those licences are taken up by farmers. So presumably there'll have to be farmers out there that would want to actually give up licences in order for them to buy licences to get enough water.
I see what you mean, yeah. So
to have the right to get the water, not to actually get the water. Of course, if there's not enough water, then we're in water restrictions and so forth. But to have the right to actually purchase the water, you have to get your water licence first.
So if those licences have all been taken up, can they recreate a new licence? I suppose they could do that, couldn't they?
No, they can't because the scheme is all...
I'm not very knowledgeable in this area.
Well, I'm not particularly either, but my understanding is that the scheme is, there's X amount of water that they've said needs to go to the hydro scheme and needs to go to the environmental flows, and then the rest of the water is available, to keep the dam to a certain level, and then to make sure that, Mareeba and Kuranda have a river supply that they can, that their pipes don't drop below the supply level of the river.
Yep.
So all of those sorts of things.
They've got to factor all that in,
and then the rest of it's actually all broken up between, whoever, whatever farmland there is in the area that want to be able to draw down water.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. So what are they going to do? Which is going to be interesting, and we need to talk to somebody in that area. Actually, I'll get Murray to make a point of this one. He'll be able to get onto John and
that'd be good.
And John might be able to tackle somebody. So basically, you're saying is the water, they don't issue any more licences for water because they've all been issued to the farmers along the way. The only other way they'd be able to obtain a licence to obtain water would be to buy that farm out, or one of those farmers relinquish one of their licences to give it to that company, to that project. Or that company,
That's my understanding,
yeah. It's very interesting that you bring that up because, these are things I don't even think about sometimes, but you're part of it. You're part of the residents up there. And it's a concern.
Yes, well, I know also that there's been talk across the tablelands of trying to get this Naringa Dam up and trying to, another scheme they had, which is to pull water across from the Johnson over into the Tinaroo scheme.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and 30%, we were down to 30% last year, and the farmers were screaming about the amount of water that was going out to the reef I guess, past the hydro scheme. But,
Yes.
So clearly water is an issue.
It is an issue.
As I say, the nearby residents who rely on their border for water, they don't have town supply here because it's a rural residential area. So they'd have to be worried, I would think.
I would think they would be too. And if these developers are going to go in and do these things, well, these have got to be considerations that they have to adhere to, and look at because, as you say. Anyway, look, I'll pass it on to Muzza and he might be able to have a talk to John and maybe they can track somebody down. I might be able to explain a little bit more for you. Casey?
And the other thing
keep talking.
Oh, sorry. The other thing I just wanted to bring up too was I noticed that the material supplies, they're trying to get off the Kuranda Range Road. And so the material supplies seem to be being suggested to come via the Palmerston. And I just wonder if people across the Tablelands are aware that the amount of heavy traffic that will increase on the Palmerston. So
that's what they're
raise that with you.
That's what they're looking at doing, is bringing it up around the Palmerston and across Atherton, Malaya, across that way.
Well, the thing is, they're saying that they're going to get the supplies from suppliers on the Tablelands, but we all know that we don't create the supplies here; they have to be brought in.
Well, you wouldn't have
to the Tablelands. So if they're not coming up the Kuranda Range, then they must be coming up the Palmerston, one presumes.
Yes, well, that's a good point too. Another good point. Yeah, so another good question that you're putting out there.
Yeah, so I think somebody ought to have a look at that, really, and see what impact that's going to be on the roads. All
right. Well, Cassie will try and get Murray to get onto somebody tomorrow and maybe or the next day and might be able to answer some of your questions. Thanks for your call today.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks very much.
No worries, Cassie. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.